Hello everyone. I hope
Hello everyone.
you're able to hear me. So let's just wait for 2 more minutes and we'll begin. So today, basically, I'll be discussing about building apps through Flutter, and this is probably because we have a hack fair, and which is an online hackathon. I'll be showing the page as well, the hack fair official page, where you can submit apps for this hackathon. This is an online hackathon, and you still have 11 days uh, left for submitting the applications. So let's just wait for one or 2 more minutes, and then I'll start with showing you the hackathon page, and then we'll start seeing that how we can build apps. So basically, today's agenda will be including. I'll try to cover most of the things, including building basic UIs and lists and some input fields. Basically, all those important widgets in Flutter, which can which enables you to build a complete application. Basic features, data posting to Firebase, and data retrieving from Firebase, showing them in a list, and taking input from the user and posting it to Firebase. So these are kind of basic things that are very much needed for to give it a start. So once you will be able to do this, and you will obviously be able to find out more about it yourself later. So this is basically just to give you a head start so that you can start building your applications. So let's just move towards the hackathon website. So this is basically the website hackfair.devpost.com, where you can just look at it and you can read all the instructions. And there are these categories through which in which you can place your submissions. These are the instructions, and this is the eligibility criteria. You can have you should have a demo video, and it would be better if you have uh, a public repo of your post. It's not mandatory, but it should if you have it, so it would be better. You should have a 1 to 2 minute video, and you should explain your problem. Basically, today I won't be actually showing you how to build complete business application, but I'll be showing you how to enable that thing. If you have an idea in your mind and you want to develop it rapidly, so that you are in a good place right now. So basically, I'll be telling you all the basic features that you can build your app through in very less time. So this is the website, and you have all the prizes here, and you have updates here as well. If you go to updates, so it says you have 3 weeks to go, and it's open for developers, and the best way to learn is through Flutter documentation. Yeah, basically the outstanding feature of Flutter is it has a very strong documentation. So you actually don't need to go anywhere or any unofficial posts or articles. You can learn Flutter through its official documentation. It's quite comprehensive. So let's just go back to our app. So basically, this is when you create a new Flutter app. So I'm assuming that the people who are listening to me, if they don't know nothing about Flutter, so it's not a big issue if you don't know anything about Flutter. So basically, this is not a very basic, very naive tutorial. I'm assuming that people who are following this must have Flutter set up on their laptops. If you don't have, so it's not a big deal, because I'll be using a lot of pre-built components in this just to make it fast, so that just to give you an idea that you can how fast you can create an app in Flutter. I'll be writing code as well, and I'll be making connections to database as well. So you will just see, and all the Firebase setup and all the pre installations regarding Firebase and all the stuff. I've done that already, and I'll tell you how to do it. But I won't be doing it right now because it takes sometimes it takes time in downloading stuff. So let's begin. If we run this app here, it will start building. Yeah. So basically, when you create a new application through terminal, so I have my terminal open. If I need to show you something regarding the terminals, I'll show you here. When you build this application, when you create a new Flutter application, so this is the thing that you get in the first go. This is if you come here in the center, this is the text, and it says you have pushed this button this many times, and it's the counter which updates every time when you press floating action button. So this is a basic, when it will run, you will see it's a very basic form of application. Okay, so it has now started. So basically, this is one basic application that you get when you run Flutter create command on the terminal and you open it in some IDE. So you can use Android Studio as well, you can use IntelliJ IDE as well, and you can use Visual Studio Code as well. So I'm using IntelliJ. It's a bit faster than Android Studio and a bit slower than Visual Studio Code. This is the application that you get when you press this plus button. It will start incrementing the counter. So let's look at this function. It says increment counter, and it says set state counter plus plus. And this function is being called at this point. This is the floating action button, and when you press it, it will call the increment counter and will start updating it. And here you have the value. Basic. This is very basic, so you might not having difficulty in understanding this. So let's just first set up our Firebase things and all, and the authentication. So I'll be doing this. I'll be authenticating the application using Google Sign-in, and then I'll be showing you a list of objects that are being fetched from Firebase, and I'll show you some things that will allow you to post things on Firebase. So basically, CRUD operations are necessary from end to end. Like you have to have database as well, and you have to have front end as well, so that you can build a complete application. So basically, first of all, we go to Firebase console. This is the website, console.firebase.google.com. You can sign in your own Gmail ID, and you can just you will have this console, and you can create a new if you go to projects, you can create a new project here. And if you don't have any project, it will show you a blank UI where you can create a new project. I have created this Hackfair, and I have created 2 applications for my project. One is iOS and one is Android. I'll be using iOS today. So when you create a new app, it will tell you to create an iOS, an Android, and a web. So we create iOS app, and here you will put the bundle identifier. So you will get the bundle identifier from Xcode. If you don't know, I can show you. We'll say cd iOS. We'll say open runner .xc workspace open .xc workspace. Here you have the Xcode, and when you tap on runner, you will see this bundle identifier. This is actually the bundle identifier which allows you, which tells Firebase that this app is trying to connect to me. So when you put it there, it will tell you that now this app is registered. When you put it there, let me just add a sample app because I have already added this this bundle ID. So I'm adding a new bundle ID of my own. Sample blah blah. You don't need to give a name. You register the app and you register it. It will ask you to download this Google Service Info. When you download it, you have to put it in this runner folder. It's better that you open Xcode and then you put it here. You can put it through your IDE as well. You can put it here. It's lying there. So you just need to put it under the runner folder. Sometimes when you put it from the IDE, it creates a little bit problem while running. So I just, on a safe side, I just open my Xcode and I just put it here. It has all the keys related to Firebase. Now, after you do this, you need to do one more thing. When you put the Google Service Info plist at its right position, you need to open Info plist and you need to add this chunk. This is the chunk that you'll get from the official Google sign-in package as well. When I'll show you Google sign-in package. This chunk of code is, you will find it very easily in the internet as well, and you can look at it. It's the reverse client ID, the string. This string is the reverse client ID from the Google Service Info plist. So this reverse client ID from the downloaded file should be in your info plist file here with this complete chunk of code, this chunk of code. So this chunk of code is necessary. If you don't write it, it won't run. And then you won't be able to get to authenticate using Firebase, and you will have your database operations. You won't be able to do this because your app won't be knowing that this is the thing where I have to hit Firebase. So these are the two tricky things that you need to do in iOS. For Android, I'll be telling you what to do in Android as well if I get time. Otherwise, you will easily find it in the official documentation of Firebase as well, and in Google as well, in Flutter as well. So that's not an issue. I'll just show you how to do it on Android as well. First of all, I just need to show you that how we are going to hit the database and all the CRUD operations. So you are done with this, with the info plist and the Google Service plist. Now you need to add packages. So first of all, I'm just going to show you all the packages that are required. So first we go to Google sign-in. Let me just finish this Hexer. Okay. So we have this Google sign-in package by PubDev Flutter package, and it tells you that you need to have your Google sign-in Firebase console, and then you have to just put the Android integration part, you have to follow it, and then you have to follow the iOS integration part, which I just told you that this is the chunk that you will find in the official documentation of the PubDev. So you need to put it there. And then it shows you that you can just import this line and then you start using your sign-in methods. So this is the Google API's context sign-in method, which we won't be using. We will be using the Google sign-in method. This is the email sign-in method. We won't be using this. We will be using Google sign-in method. So I'll show you the code. I'll write it myself. So the easiest way is you just come to the stalling tab. You just pick this up and you just paste it in your pubspec.yaml. This is the file where you have all those libraries integrated. So this is just a library. So you put Google Sign In here, you put Cloud Firestore here, and you put Firebase Auth. So Google Sign In and Firebase Auth work together. So when you want your user in Firebase, so you use Google Sign In along with Firebase Auth, so that you can manage your users in your database. That gives you, when you sign in through Google and Firebase Auth, it gives you a unique Firebase key, which you can use in your database to segregate users from each other. And Cloud Firestore, obviously, this is the actual database which will be hitting, and all of these are being picked, have been picked by here, PubDev. All of the documentation is available here, how to use them. I'll show you how we'll use them. I'll write the code as well for hitting the database and all that. Firebase Auth, you need to install this as well. So all the 3 packages are required for this tutorial. So as soon as we add this, we need to run packages get, and you can run it from the terminal as well, from this terminal as well, from that terminal as well. Just you need to go to your root project and run flutter pubget. When you run flutter pubget, you will all of these will be downloaded and integrated in your applications. Okay, for iOS, one thing I need to just remind you: when you integrate these plugins in your application and you run iOS app, it might crash. Sometimes it happens that your pods are not stalled. So what you need to do is, just for the sake of safety, you just navigate to your iOS folder. So this is our main folder, Hackfair, and you navigate it in iOS, and now this is your iOS project and the iOS specific project. So you need to run pod update here. When you run pod update, all the pods is actually for iOS, all of these libraries are the pods, all the 3 libraries, including other libraries as well. So all the 3 libraries are the pods. When you run pod update, it will get the latest versions of all of these from iOS, and then you need to run pod install. When you run pod install, all of these packages will be installed in the backend, and then you will run flutter clean, and then you will run the app. Then it won't crash. It will be on a safe side. Sometimes it crashes, sometimes it doesn't. So on a safe side, you just run pod install and pod update so that you are on the safe side. So we have done this. Now let's first authenticate using Google. So to authenticate using Google, we just need to know our few parameters that need to be initialized. First of all, final, we'll have Google sign in. Now it's not picking up the Google sign in, so we'll just import a library. I guess it will give me a suggestion. Yeah. So we import this package and it says now it's okay. Then we will add Firebase auth. Firebase auth.instance. I've already imported Firebase, right? Yeah, I've already imported Firebase. So this will tell you the Firebase auth instance, and the final thing will be your DB reference equals to Firestore.instance. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So we have all these 3 variables in our code. Now we just need to create a function which will handle our sign-in. So let's just handle void handle sign-in. This should be an async function. You must know async functions. Async functions are functions used when you have to wait for a process to complete. So we have now we need to initialize the Google sign-in account. Google sign-in account, Google user equals to await underscore Google sign-in dot sign-in. Okay, so this is the function which will actually invoke a web view inside your app, which will take your Google credentials. Like you must have seen in a lot of different applications that when you tap on the Google sign-in option, a bottom sheet kind of web view opens up on the whole screen, and then you enter your credentials. So this is that thing. This will invoke that bottom sheet type of thing. Now we at Google sign-in authentication, Google auth equals to await Google user dot authentication. So this is the line where the Google user that you just fetched from the Google, it will be authenticated through Google sign-in authentication. If you don't understand any of this, you don't need to worry about it. This is just a pattern by this is just a pattern that has been updated, that keeps on updated by the plugin makers. So first, in the previous times, we don't use this get credential method. We never used it, but they have updated it. So you don't need to just worry about it. Just you need to just know how to pass all of these parameters to get Firebase auth ID. So here we'll say ID token will be Google auth dot token, and access token will be Google auth dot access token. We have this auth credential, which says you will find this whole piece of code in the package as well, so you don't need to worry about it. Now we create the final Firebase user equals to await underscore auth dot sign in with credential, and we'll put credential here, and we'll say dot user. This will bring us the Firebase user, and we can just, on a safe side, we should print signed in user dot display name, and we should return user. We have put it white, so we should put it future Firebase user. So this function will probably handle, if everything goes fine, this function will probably handle the sign-in thing, and we'll get a good pop-up where we'll put our credentials, and we'll have this signed in user display name in our console here. So let's just call this function on this plus button for now. So let's just put this here, handle sign. And when we press Ctrl S or we press hot reload, so it should probably open something. It is asking you that Hackfer wants to use google.com to sign in, so you continue like in every other application. So this is the kind of bottom sheet that you see, and this is a complete whole web view, and it will ask you to enter your credentials 006 hotmail.com. I press next, so it should print here somewhere, or yeah, so it prints my name and it says that you are now signed in. So this Firebase user, this user also has an ID. user dot display name, email, anonymous, so photo, URL, phone number. So you have all of that. So you can use it to store all of these in your Firebase database. Now we have this. Now we know how we'll sign in our application. So let's just remove this function. Now let's just create. For now, we should create another function which will store some data to our database. So let's just store some data to our database. So for the database part, you need to go here and you need to go to the database thing. And I have already created a database. When you won't be having anything here, it will ask you to create a database. So you just create it and use it in test mode. So this will come up and it will be an empty database. You can create a collection from here as well, but we'll be creating it through code because it will be manageable. Because if you create something from here and then you don't read in the code, then it will create a mess in the code. So we'll just create and read through code. So let's create something. Void create record. It's pretty simple. You don't need to do anything. You need to await DB reference. Okay. It says it should be an anything function. DB reference dot collection. Okay, so this collection is the collection which will appear here. If I press this and I write a collection name here, so I'll put the same collection name here so that it fetches this collection. But since there is no collection already there, so we'll put any name and it will create on its own. So let's just try creating a collection of events. So dot add this add function takes a map. So either you can create a class and pass it through JSON object or convert it into a map, or you can just directly hard code a map like this. So we have 3 fields and we can enter event. This is your field name actually, and this is the value. Event name is Flutter Hack Fair. It says event description. You need to be very careful regarding these fields because these are the ones that are like just like your database fetching fields, which you will be reading afterwards. So event description is an online hackathon tutorial, and we should put what should we put here? Okay, for now, let's just put these two. So this will add a new collection, name as events, and in that collection, it will add one record, hopefully, if everything goes fine. So instead of handle sign-in, I'm just giving it to create my record, and I should control S it, and hopefully this should work. Let's try. Okay, so it says nothing. So now it should have created here. Refresh it and we'll hopefully see something. Yeah, cool. So we have events and we added a document, and that document has event title, Flutter Hack Fair, and event description. So this is the one which I was talking about, that it's really important. So you need to be careful about it. This is the document ID that it assigned automatically. Now, for suppose if you want to assign this by yourself, so you can assign it by yourself as well. So instead of creating a record here, we just copy it, we paste it, and we say dot document, and we tell it this is dot set data. We say that this is my record, so this is my key of the day of the record. So this can be Walid, this can be my user ID 456456, whatever. So let's try this now. Or it will add 2 more records, so it will be 3, I guess, if everything goes fine. Yeah, see, it added 1 more document with the keys, the key that I gave. So you just came to know. Now you see that you can give your own keys in database so that you can just access it back. So the best example would be I should give my user email or my user ID or my token here. From here, I should just pass back the user and just put my user ID or my email here, so that all the documents here are the user's emails, so that I don't when I query my document back, so I can just hit it through my user email or user ID or whatever you want. Cool. So this is the list that was created here. So it has, each one has its own title and description. Now let's jump back to the UI part. Let's say we need to show all of these inside this body. Yes, finish this, remove this, and we say text hello. We remove everything. So this is a hello that appears here. Now we need to have a list of objects that are present there in our database. So there are a lot of ways to do that. The best, there is no actually the best way. It depends upon the architecture of your application. If your application is working on streams, so you can use the streams. If it's an await future procedure, so you can just await your call and then you can fetch it and then you can show it. I'll be using very simple streams. So let's just use a stream builder and tell it that we need our data through Firebase. So stream builder, it takes some of the properties that has a stream, and stream, the advantage of using Firestore is that it directly gives you a stream of objects collection, and you tell it events. Events is that collection which we have. Snapshots is the type of stream. So it will pick events, the collection of events, and then it will return it into a stream here to the stream builder. Stream builder also takes one more argument, that is builder, and it says context and snapshot. Context is our application context, and this snapshot is the snapshot that will be returned by this stream. So this is built-in function for stream builder. This snapshot is the one that we are going to read to get our data. So we'll say if snapshot has error, it should return text error. Otherwise, it should return a list view. If you think that I'm going too fast or you don't understand the list view or the stream builder, they are pretty much self-explanatory. You don't need to worry about it. It's pretty much easy and it's quite comprehensive. I'm just giving you an idea of how fast can you create an app in Flutter, a good UI and some CRUD operations. So you don't need to worry. You will just Google list view in Flutter. You will find a lot of articles and a lot of documentation. So you don't need to worry about it. So we'll say list view. Oh, we don't need the list view. We need the list view builder. So this builder needs a context, and this builder needs an index. Index is for the iteration part. So we'll just tell it also needs an item count. It should know how many items it has to populate. So from where we'll get the item count, we'll get it from the length of our list. So we have a snapshot. A snapshot is this, which we have in our function, and we have snapshot.data.length. So this snapshot.data is a list itself. So it lists the length of the list is our length of the list view builder. So item builder says that it needs some widget to return. So it will return a list style, and we'll tell it, don't worry about the list style. The list style is a very famous and very comprehensive and my favorite widget in Flutter. So you will see how a list style appears. We have list style, we have text, and here we'll say snapshot.data.documents index, and here we'll access our key. What key, which we are signed in while creating our record. So we'll have the subtitle here as well, and we'll copy this function from here, paste it, and we'll say description. So what will this do? This will create a list view, which will be of our list length, and which will have each item will have a title and a subtitle. It will be showing our title and our description right from here. Okay, so we have event description. Oh, cool. We forgot this. We have event description. We have the right spellings here. Yeah. So let's try it. When I save it, it should. Cool. So it says it's an error that snapshots length has no getter length. Oh. So we did one mistake. It should know that it is the document's length, not the snapshot, because snapshot has no parameters length. So when we control asset, and we have our list populated here. So you see how simple it is to create a list, just to create our own database, write through the code in just 2 lines of code, and then fetch it in 2 lines again. So this actually creates a lot of opportunities to build applications really fast. So we have 11 days for the hackathon, and I guess if we are being able to create this CRUD operations within 40 minutes, within 45 minutes, so I guess an application won't be difficult to create in 11 days. So let's just let me show you some more things that you can do with Flutter. The fast development. So let's just start developing some good UI for this. So let's just wrap it with a container. Let's just wrap each list style with a container, and now you can see that I'll be working on the fetch data. The data won't be fetched again and again from the Firebase. It's just there in our app now. It is once fetched, and now I will be building the whole UI over this. No, it will be stateful. It will maintain its state, and I'll be updating the UI here right now without fetching the data again. So we just wrap it with a container, and we say colors dot green. So everything will be green, right? Now we give a decoration, box decoration, and we tell it to have a border radius dot circular of 10. And we need to put the color inside the decoration, otherwise it will crash. When we control asset, now you see there are little round corners around here. So I guess we should have some spacing between each container. So let's just wrap it with a padding, and it says all 8 padding constant agentsets dot all 8.0. You don't need to worry about this agentsets dot all. It's just a syntax in Dart. You have agentsets as only dot all dot symmetric. So only will, if you want to have padding only from one side or from two sides or from three sides, you use only. If you want also you use all. If you want symmetric is from the upper and the lower paddings right together, and the left and right together. So we just use only, we just use all, and when you control asset, it will give you a good simple UI with good some proper spacing. Now let's just do one more thing, one final thing. We have like 15 minutes of time left, so let us do let us add colors dynamically. If I add a field here, color, let's say green, and I add a field here, color blue, and I add a field here, color brown. So now each item has color in the database. So now I can use my colors dynamically from the database, but I need to tell my UI that you need to pick the colors from somewhere. So let's just create a simple dictionary, which is a map in Flutter. Map string color. Okay, so string map string color string to color equals to map string color. Color can't be used a type argument. Why? Okay. Map string to color. Okay. We need to just create a dictionary. I don't know why it is asking me to get through it. Okay, fine. We can just access it directly in our code as well. So I don't know why it's creating an error there. So let's just give this color from here. Container. So we have 3 colors. So we can just put the logic as here as well. Snapshot document index. Color equals to we need to put it here. Double equals green. Screen color dot green. It's a very naive approach, but let's just put it this way. If it's blue, then blue. Otherwise, colors dot brown. So if the color is green, then green, and if the color is brown, then brown, and we apply the color. So now it will just fetch the color from the database and it will start populating our UI accordingly. So we have this color as well. So you see, we just created a good UI. Now let me just do one more thing and then we'll wrap up. We'll just see how to just fetch UI, how to fetch something from the UI from the user input and then put it into database. So let's just put some text field here. We need to wrap this up in a column or somewhat. Okay, so let's just put we just need an alert dialog. Yeah, alert dialog. Value dismissible false. I'll tell you what it is. Builder return alert dialog. Content text field and we have this text field in the content. Okay, fine. We'll just see how it will work. And we have title, text, we'll say enter text. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it says enter text. And when we click on it and we can write text in it. So we need an OK button as well. So we need to have an OK button, actions, raise button, child, text, submit. We won't be talking about validations here right now, but we'll have. But validations can be put easily. It's not a big deal. And on press, we will just put this text onto the Firebase. So let's just hot restart the application. We have this text and we have on press, and now we'll just text field and we'll see controller. We create this controller, text editing controller equals to text editing controller. This is our controller, which will tell us that you need to pick up text from here and put it in the database. So this is our controller, and when we press submit, so it should pick up. We should just pick this code from here, where DB reference add. We should add the controller.text as the key for suppose for now. Async, and we just say that you need to create a document which has the text as the key and set the data as alert submitted through dialog. This would be its, and when it's done, then you need to navigator.offcontext.pop. This line will just remove the dialog when it's done. It will go back to the launch UI screen. So let's just hot restart it. So now let's do something and try it. I hope it works. It should create a new entry with my name in it. See, it says alert submitted through dialog, and we don't have the color field in it, so it just appended the brown color. So we have alert, we have submitted through dialog, and we just created a new text field. We just picked up its text from the controller and submitted in the database. So now you see, this is pretty simple. The basic building block of any application is CRUD operations. When you are being able to do the CRUD operations in any application, so that means that you are being able to do anything that you have in mind. So other than this, there are multiple advanced features as well, which you can just which you can have read through articles and as well and through the Flutter official documentation. So that would be pretty fine, because you don't need anyone else to learn Flutter. You can have the Flutter taste through their official documentation, which is pretty good. So the basic idea of this whole code lab was that you can just build applications really fast, and for both Android and iOS. Okay, for the Android, I just need to tell you that just like we downloaded a Google service info playlist in iOS, the same kind of file is downloaded in Android. So we have Android apps. So you just need to put your identifier here, and then you need to download this Google Service JSON. And when you download it, Google Service JSON, you'll put it in Android in app here in the app folder, not in the source, in the app folder, in this folder. When you put it here, then, and you don't need to add any reverse client ID like we did in iOS. So it's pretty simple in Android. We just need to do some configurations here in build Gradle. You need to add an implementation here, implementation of the Firebase, the Google Firebase. You will get it from the, when you are adding the app, you will get all the code lines of code there from there, and you need to add and apply command here at the end. So you will also get that from the from while you are adding your application in Firebase. Firebase will tell you where to add, what to add. And the tricky part is you will need to add one thing in order to run it. You will need to add multi-text, enable multi-text. You need to have enable multi-text to something like this. I don't know that if it's right spelling, but you will have to add something like this, otherwise it won't build on Android. So you need to do this as well. Other than that, one important thing is you need to add these SHA fingerprints, your debug fingerprints at least, in order to implement Google sign-in. Otherwise, your Google sign-in will give you an error with code 10. And the error with code 10 will tell you that you don't have proper authentication. So there is some problem in Firebase. So the problems will be either you will not be having this support email. You need to have the support email, otherwise Google will not start giving an error. And you will have to have the SHA fingerprints. You will be able to get it through a command that's pretty simple. You will find it on Google. You just Google it, how to get SHA fingerprints, and the fingerprints are actually the signing fingerprints. You get debug fingerprints for the emulator and for debug builds, and you get release for the release builds. So it's pretty simple. You won't find any difficulty. The one more thing is when you come to authentication, because we are using Firebase authentication, so you need to come here authentication, and you won't see this screen unless you will see a screen which says enable sign-in. When you enable sign-in, then you will be directed to this screen, and you will press this edit button, and you will see enable. This would be disabled at first, and you need to enable it. When you enable it, only then you will be able to sign in your apps, both Android and iOS. This is very important. You need to enable this for both Android and iOS both. So this was it for today. We have almost the time, and if you find any question regarding this, so you can just ping me on LinkedIn or on Twitter, or you can ping any of these guys on GDG Kulachi. They will make you contact me. I hope you won't find any difficulty, because as a beginner, if all the difficulties that you find, you will obviously be able to resolve them through all the documentation and through all the community work that has been done. So Flutter is quite mature enough that any new developer will find no problem that is unsolved, unless you are doing something extraordinary. Then you might find some problem that you need to work out, that you need to find more about. But as a beginner, there is no problem that you will find unsolved. You will find support for everything. So let's just end this. And my name is Waleed. Obviously, you know that. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can catch me up on Twitter for any of these questions regarding the Hackfair as well, and regarding the Flutter thing as well. Flutter is now for web as well, for desktop as well, for embedded as well. So Flutter Web is quite stable now, so you should try that as well. And see you again. Thank you so much for your time. For all the people watching, I don't know how much people are watching, but yeah, cool. So see you next time. And I hope that you will submit more apps for the hackathon. 11 days are quite enough for creating an application. Thank you so much.